When it comes to art styles, a lot of people think that an art style is just something you find eventually, but in reality, an art style is something that you need to design. It's a combination of intentional choices. In this video, we're going to cover how to make those intentional choices. There are two topics we need to cover. The first is how to identify the core idea behind why something looks the way it does, and the second is observing stylizations in other people's art. Now, when it comes to identifying the core idea behind something, I'm talking about identifying the fundamental. Basically, the part of this object that you'll always have to take into account no matter what you want your art style to look like. For example, when it comes to the human body, the joints are important. All the movement in the body takes place at the joints. The joints make each body part move in an arc because that's just how the body works. The joint is the center of rotation and the body part has to move around it. This is one of those fundamentals. You can't change this without completely changing the way the human body moves. Meaning, in an art style, it doesn't matter if your style is three-dimensional or two-dimensional. If you're going to make a character move their arm, it has to move in an arc. Another example of a fundamental concept when it comes to the human body could be how the feet interact with the ground. If we're standing on the ground, our feet are going to be flat on the ground, or at least the part that's touching the ground is going to be flat with it. This technically doesn't just apply to feet. Basically, anything that touches the ground is going to be flat with it. So, no matter the art style, if you're going to draw the feet, you need to make sure that they're flat with the ground, instead of the ground looking like this and the feet being angled like this. Now, to be able to identify what these fundamentals are, you need a lot of knowledge about a particular topic, which is why it's important to constantly study the topic. This also explains why, as a beginner, even if you have an idea of what you want your art style to look like, it's so difficult to put onto paper because you lack the knowledge of how that art style will affect the object you're trying to draw. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to get this knowledge other than just constantly asking yourself why something works the way it does and then researching that. But what will help is having good observation skills. Observation allows you to see things the way they actually are, as well as allowing you to notice patterns. To improve your observation, you should work on paying attention to angles and paying attention to measurements. And then some exercises that can help you with that are, of course, tracing. You can do blind contour drawing, and then you can also draw from reference. Next thing we need to go over is observing stylizations in other people's art. The main reason why we would do this is because it gives us a guide on how you can take the details and change them while keeping the fundamental concepts the same. On top of that, it can also serve as inspiration and show you a way to stylize that you didn't think of. Now, before you can really study an art style, you need to understand what's being stylized, and this is going back to that idea of needing to have knowledge about the topic. If we look at the legs, for example, these are clearly stylized, but if we want to apply this sort of stylization to the leg from a different angle or a different type of leg, we need to know what body part each of these lines is supposed to represent. So again, you need to have knowledge on the topic to be able to study a style. I'm not saying that you need to become a realism artist, but considering that realism is the basis for a lot of people's styles, you need to at least have enough knowledge to be able to identify how they changed it. Once you're able to recognize that, you can apply that knowledge however you want. So instead of making these cheap looking copies, you'll be able to change it and kind of make it your own. Now let's do a drawing where we put all of this stuff into practice, so it might be a good idea to draw along if you want. And this is the pose we're going to use, and I'm kind of going to come up with an art style on the fly, or I guess change some of these things into something that could be an art style, I guess. First thing we need to have is the horizon line, which I've made videos about before, but it's kind of the thing that determines what the entire scene is going to look like. And in the case of the reference, this is from Pose Maniacs, by the way, which always has the horizon line in the scene right there. So yeah, horizon line, it's a fundamental thing. You should always have it no matter the art style. Then I guess the next thing we can start thinking about are the proportions. In the case of a real body, the torso, including the head, is a little over half the size of the entire body, and then of course the legs are less than half. But I think what we can do is make the legs about Or well, I guess what we can try to do is make the torso, including the head, this long, and then make the legs this long. So what I'm gonna do is decide where I'm going to place the head. This is kind of an annoying pose because the arm sticks out, so it's hard to decide the proportions straight up. But if we say that the head is right around there, just about lines up with the actual image, and then the crotch in the image would be right there. If we place that a bit higher, so let's say right here, it might create the effect that we're trying to get. Then from here, I guess we can draw the hips as well as the leg that's fully extended. So one thing to keep in mind about the legs, or one landmark that basically always shows up, is the greater trochanter. That's the widest point on the hips, and you can basically always see it sticking out. But it's a very good landmark, and because of that, I think including that in an art style is probably a smart idea, or I guess emphasizing it is probably a smart idea. So from here, we'll draw it like that, and then I guess I should have decided how long I wanted the entire leg to be. So I guess we're placing the bottom of the knee over here, then this is going to be the lower leg, and then right here we have the foot. We also kind of need to keep in mind where the foot is in relation to the head if we want this to be a pose similar to the reference. So of course you could draw the leg going all the way here, but that's probably not going to work. So instead we'll do this, and then we'll kind of have the leg go like that. So I said the knee was going to be right around there, and then we'll have the lower leg come out that way. Then right here we have the foot. I guess I can keep this pretty sharp as well, kind of like that. And then as for the calf, it starts right at the bottom of the kneecap, which is where the hamstring tendons also are. So I guess we said bottom of the kneecap was right around there, so the calf would start right there. And then I guess we can do that, but that might make the ankle a bit too skinny, so maybe go like that. Then from here, draw the front plane of the legs, and then I guess we need the other foot as well, and we can see in the reference that this is slightly above the knee, and then we have the leg going out that way. You need to make sure that the distance between the knee and the foot is the same, so I think we should probably mark where we're going to place the ankle on this side, which I think will be probably around here, and then we need to make sure that we have that same distance, so I think the knee would be right around there. And then from here, the knee also has multiple planes. We have a bottom plane, front plane, top plane. Then drawing that, I guess we can keep it all very blocky, because that's kind of what we're doing. I guess that's the style that we're going with. So upper leg goes this way. I think the side plane of the hips would be about that wide, and then from here we should probably place the calf, make sure we give the ankle the same width, and then when we draw the foot, make sure that you're actually seeing the top plane of it. Then place the hamstrings, and then from here glutes into the hamstrings on that side. I think I placed this a bit too far out because my measurement was slightly off, but that's fine. So now from here we need to go to the upper body. The way this is done is kind of weird because the change in trajectory seems to happen right around there. And then right here we have the waist, which is above the pelvis. So if we say the pelvis is there, we have the waist right here, and then that of course overlaps. Angle of the shoulders, and then from here we have the rib cage, and then that goes into the pelvis like that. And I guess I placed this line a bit too low because I don't have any space for the head, so I guess we'll just place the head up here. Still need to make sure that this all lines up properly to make sure that we actually have the pose correct. For the head, I'll just keep it simple. Now for the arms. The arm has something called a carrying angle where it doesn't go straight down. Instead, right here at the elbow, it kind of goes diagonally out to the side. And I think that always looks really cool, so I kind of want to emphasize that more by making that angle bigger, but the thing is, I don't think we can do that with this pose, so I guess we're just leaving that out. From here, I want to keep the deltoid pretty rectangular, or angular, I should say. Then same thing with the entire upper arm. Then for the lower arm, I'll keep the brachioradialis part, which is this bump on the forearm, keep that kind of angular as well. And then on this side, we'll make it smooth, go in that way, similarly to what we did here, because the arms are basically the same as the legs muscle-wise, so you can do the same patterns. And then we have the hands. Then for the other arm, we can see the biceps, and this always has a pretty cool triangular angle right here where the tendon goes into the forearm, so I guess we can keep that. That would be right around there, so I guess we'll just go like that. And then again on this side we have the brachioradialis. We would do that same bump, and then on the other side we'd have to make the curve a bit more concave, and then lastly we would have the hand. And then I think that's it. So I'm probably going to draw an actual character on top of this and see how that's going to look. And here's what we got. So hopefully the video was helpful, and if you guys have any ideas for future videos, be sure to let me know in the comments. And of course, you can also check out the description if you want to join our Discord server. But outside of that, I guess I'll catch you all in the next video.